Hi everyone, my name is Jeremy and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi Jeremy.
Oh, it's fun to be here. I have been through the process as laid out in that book with the help of a Big Book Step Study sponsor, God's Grace. I'm currently making my amends. I made 2 this week. I'm over 75% done. And I practice steps 10, 11, 12 every day to the best of my ability. It's always a privilege and an honor to be asked to speak, but it's a special treat to have be asked for the speaker to be an anniversary meeting. And congratulations on 15 years. That's wicked cool. And thank you very much. So, thank you. I talk about my drinking, just FYI. I mean, some people are just like, oh my gosh, he actually mentions his drinking. Anyway, so, but I don't know if I was born in alcohol, and I don't really care to figure it out. I don't really care at all, really. I don't really want to debate it in the parking lot after the meeting either. But all I really remember is that as far back as my memory goes, which is pretty far, I have a really, really good memory, is I didn't feel right. From my first conscious memory, I don't remember feeling okay. I believe that I had this spiritual malady from day one. I have a twin brother and my dad. It's very easy to compare Jeremy and Jonathan. And my dad said, "You were born angry, and you never stopped." And so, I mean, that was what just life was like. I didn't fit in. I didn't feel comfortable. And I know, I had friends, but they really weren't my friends because they were my brother's friends, because you can't really be friends with one twin without the other. And that's the only reason I had any friends. And on this went. And I was full of fear and, what people thought of me, and I didn't even realize it. And, well, speaking of didn't even realizing it, that was the thing. I felt like that all the time. And if I feel like that all the time, I have no idea how uncomfortable I am, because that's all I ever know. That's my only experience. This kind of feeling always. And I had fun, and there was a tree fort, and childhood was not the worst thing ever. But that was my experience. I had that feeling all the time. So I had no idea how uncomfortable I was until I got comfortable. The first time I got comfortable was the first time I got drunk, which was at my parents' house. They were away on business. My sister, who was older, had a high school party she threw, and there was drinking there. And I had passed on drinking many, many times. I thought it was dumb and lame. I thought those people were loud, obnoxious. And I was just a quiet, shy, reserved kid, and I didn't want anything to do with it. But at this particular party, it was a girl, and she liked me. And I didn't really like her, but I knew she liked me, so there we go. I'm okay. Somebody likes me, And internal condition, all better. And she handed me a drink, and I took it. And very quickly thereafter, I started feeding myself, and I got ridiculously drunk. And I made out with that girl on the couch. I think I got second base. I was literally swinging from the rafters of my parents' house. I was hiding, crawling under tables, avoiding grown-ups. And I was that kid, that obnoxious kid. Why did you invite him to that high school party? But that was me. And before I threw up, I remember staring down at the bar, and I had this revelation. I remember my thought. It was oh my God. I did not know you could feel this good. I just didn't know you could feel that good. The thought that immediately preceded that was, I wonder if you can feel like this all the time. All the time. Prior to this experience, very low opinion of alcohol and those who drink it. As soon as I have one, I wonder if you can feel like this all the time. And so when 3 large guys forcibly put me to bed because I was really, really obnoxious, and I woke up the next morning hungover, worse than ever, I think. That was probably the worst hangover I ever had. And I had to go to a little kid's birthday party, and when I got to the little kid's birthday party, everybody had found out what I had done the night before, thrown up, made out with the girl on the couch, stuck my hand down, all this other stuff. And I was mortified and embarrassed. My sister was wicked pissed off at me, and I told myself in my hungover state, I'm never going to do this again. That's it. Forget it. And that didn't happen. I stayed away from it, I don't remember, a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. But when I had the opportunity again, I actually got into an argument. I ran away from home. I got into an argument with my dad, so I just got up and walked out and didn't come back. And I developed a near bottle a day habit. I tried 4 or 5 drugs for the first time, and I was off and running. And this kind of built up. And I did go home eventually. And I graduated high school, and that was okay. And I went to a local community college, and that was a lot of fun because I stayed in my area, which was right outside of Manhattan, and partied there a lot. And I had a lot of fun. And there I went to an upstate university, and there my drinking took on more serious proportions. It was basically every day. And after a little while of that, I mean, I had gotten into a little trouble here and there. Basically, what happened was I had a very serious fake injury. It's very serious. And I went on pain management because my girlfriend was on pain management, so it made sense that I would do that too. And so that's what we did, and we did that for a while, and then eventually that escalated to hardcore intravenous drug use and the whole criminal activity and the whole 9 yards. And I had a summer of hell. It was terrible. I'm not going to get into it. But a lot of serious consequences happened in a very short period of time. And I crashed and burned. I was already no longer welcome back at my university, lots of stuff. And my parents, my whole family had found out what was going on. And I had to go into treatment, and I went into treatment. And I was like, okay. I remember this nice intake nurse was like, "This is your first detox?" I was like, "First and only." I'm never going to do that again. That's just stupid. Anyway, they told me, when I got there, though, they told me I couldn't drink anymore. And I'm pretty sure I literally said I didn't sign up for that. All I wanted to do is do a little detox, get better, and I wanted my old life back. And so I got out, and I took some of the suggestions that I'd heard, because, it was pretty serious. So I did 90 meetings in 90 days when I got out, and then I got a sponsor. I got a home group, and I got a commitment, and I started making coffee, and all went well for a time. And, it was kind of fun. I didn't think it would be quite as bad as, sobriety didn't seem as bad as I envisioned it. But bottom line is I just had the craving to drink. I have this obsession going on, and I have no idea I'm suffering from some obsession. I'm just sitting in meetings, and people just keep coming, kid, and it gets better. And I kept coming, and the thought of drink, it came into my mind, it wouldn't go away. And I told myself, because I have these delusions, that someday I'll be able to control and enjoy my drinking, that I had this story that I was going to go back out and drink after 4 months of sobriety, because I had really learned about myself. And that I would go and I would get my old life back and I'd have a great time, and then if it got bad, I'd just go back to AA. It's great. It made sense to me. So I went out and I went to this 3-day-long Halloween party in New York City, and I drank, and I had an awesome time. Awesome. I couldn't believe it. Like, I got my drink on. I didn't get shot. I didn't get into a fight. I didn't get thrown out. I didn't throw up. I didn't get arrested. I drove home. It was fine. There was a porn star there. She asked if she could come home with me. I'm not kidding. There was a girl. She had a giant purple mohawk. I had a crush on her for like a long time. I danced and schmoozed with her. Like, everything I ever thought I wanted in life, like, here it is. And I was like, I couldn't believe it, because these old-timers have been drilling into my head for months. You go back out there, kid, it just gets worse. And right, between the fetish model with the mohawk and the porn star, it just gets worse. I don't think so. And I'm not bragging. I didn't sleep with either one of those people. I'm not bragging. It just happened, whatever. But there's a really important part in More and Alcohol that talks about these alcoholics. And it says it seems at times that we have regained control. Here I am, I got my old life back, I'm good to go, And while those times, usually brief, are inevitably followed by less control, which lead in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. And that's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. And I stayed out for 6.5 years. Mm-hmm. And a series of events happened that brought me to New England, because I was living in upstate New York. It got me to Vermont, and then eventually into sobriety. I went back to my university, and eventually, after a few years, they took me back, even as a daily drinker, because I have these delusions, I can rest satisfaction and happiness out as well. If only I manage well, if only I get what I want, if only I do X, Y, Z, everything's going to be fine. It's going to work out just the way I want it to. And one of those delusions I had is that as long as I graduated college, everything's going to be fine. I'll calm down. I won't drink so much. I'll get a good girl. I can make a lot of money. I'll have 2 degrees. Everything will look fine. And to make a long story short, I did that. And then I became a 24/7 round-the-clock daily drinker. Couldn't go for more than 4 hours without a drink. I woke up every morning with delirium tremens or being drunk from the night before. And the mind and body are marvelous mechanisms, because mine endured that agony for 2 more years. And what happened was... Actually, this one night, I was wicked pissed at my girlfriend. I don't remember what it was, and I'm sure she didn't either, because she was passed out on the couch. But whatever it was her fault. And I phoned a friend, and he didn't pick up, so I just left a message, and I started drinking. I drank a bottle of Wild Turkey 101, and I drank it in about an hour. And as soon as I was done, he called me back, and I went over, because he had scored some dope, and I said, it sounds like a fantastic idea, because I hadn't done that in a little while. And basically, I shot up, I fell over, I turned purple, I stopped breathing, my heart stopped, and I died. They resuscitated me, called my girlfriend, said, "Dial 911, come over and get him." She did that. I came to coming out of her car and going into an ambulance. They gave me Narcan. That takes all the opiates out of the system, just like that. And I distinctly remember my first coherent thought was, "Whoa, thank God, I'm still drunk." Thank God. Doctor's opinion. Because while they admit it is injurious, meaning it causes harm, obviously it caused me harm. I woke up in an ambulance. They cannot, after a time, differentiate the true from the false. So, not like, how did I get here again? What has my life come to? Nope. Thank God, I'm still drunk. I'm all right. And I went off to the ambulance, and I went to the ER, high-fived the doc, way to go, thanks for saving me. Let me go home. I left AMA, I went home, I drank the rest of my alcohol, and I shot the rest of my dope. Because I can't not. It's not because I'm a tough guy and I can throw them back with the best of them. I just can't not. I was literally salivating, thinking about it, on the way home from the ER, from after being revived back to life. My girlfriend was like freaking out. I was like, "You all right? You want me to drive?" Swear to God. Like, it just doesn't even occur to me. And I did the very same thing the next day and the day after that and the day after that. Because me, the alcoholic life seems the only normal one. That's all I know. That's my only existence. And a short time after that, I was driving with an associate. I had been drinking all day, drinking at work, got out of work. He and I we had 2 stops to make in a neighboring not-so-good city. And I made stop 1 of 2. And before I got to make stop 2, I got pulled over. And I saw those lights go up. And I had a moment of clarity that this is not fun. The party's long over. I hate this. I haven't felt good in forever. And so something was coming over and through me, and the truth started spewing out of me, which was weird because I was talking to a cop. And he looked at me and said, "Hey, kid, if I search this car, am I going to find anything?" I said, "Uh-huh." And he said, "You've been drinking?" I said, "Yup." And he pulled me out, and he said, "Show me the stuff." I showed him the stuff. It was a little rock, crack cocaine. And he said, "You don't even seem like you do this. You're not a crackhead." I said, "I'm not." He said, "You seem like you're a drunk and a junkie." And I said, "I am." Like, right? This cop, he knows what's up. He said, "You seem like you're a good kid. You just need some help." I said, "I do. I do." And I went to jail, and after being chained to a bench, I got arrested, went to jail. After being chained to a bench for 8.5 hours, the same girl at the time came, bailed me out, and she was so pissed off at me, well, probably because I got arrested in her car, which was then impounded. But I went home, and I ran to the bottle. I absolutely had to have it, which was weird because I just, 8 hours ago, told the officer, "Yes, I have a problem. Yes, I have. I'm an alcoholic. Yes, I need help." Self-knowledge avails me nothing. Sorry, can't quit on the basis of self-knowledge. Can't do it. Got home, needed to have it right away. And basically, I really got to speed this up. But what happened was my boss at that crappy job that I had for the last 4 years came over, heard about those 2 stories, and fired me. She said, "I love you, you need help, you're fired." And on her way over, she called my father and told him everything. I don't even know how she got his number, but I called him up because I didn't know what else to do. I'd lost almost everything, and I just couldn't stop. My dad said, "Come to Vermont, go to detox, stay with us, get help." And I said, "Okay," and I did that. I went to a Brattleboro retreat, and I stayed for a whopping 2.5 days. And I left shaking. I don't do well with detoxes. I left, and you know what? I was shaking, and it felt horrible. I said, "Things aren't going to be okay. I'm going to go back to AA." And I went back to AA, and I took all the suggestions that I heard thrown around the rooms that I went to by a bunch of loving people who were trying to help me. But what they said was just don't drink and go to meetings. Go to 90 meetings in 90 days. So I did that. Get a sponsor. So I got a sponsor. Get a home group. So I got a home group. Get a commitment. So I started making coffee, and all went well for a time. And I made it 6 months, and I had been sober for 6 months since I was 14 years old. So I was very, very pleased. And I drank that night. I thought that was weird. I didn't want to drink anymore. I came to Vermont, and I was done. This is the baffling feature of alcoholism as I know it, the utter inability to leave it alone, no matter how great the necessity or the wish. That means I drink even though I don't want to, and even though I need to not to. I do it anyway. And so I redoubled my efforts, so I went to more meetings, and I called my sponsor more, and I showed up early, and I stayed late, and I stacked chairs, and I made coffee, and I cleaned up afterwards, and I drank again. And then I drank again. And then I drank again. And I was a meeting-making fool, and meeting makers make it. And I was making it to an awful lot of meetings, and I kept drinking, and they told me to just put the plug in the jug, and unfortunately I put the plug in the jug. My experience is I take it out, I drink it, and I go get another jug. I can't not. And, well, let's just talk about one of those relapses. I went to 3 meetings in one day. I called my sponsor. I talked to other people before the meeting, during the meeting, after the meeting. I raised my hand. I said, "I want to drink. I want to drink. I don't want to drink anymore, but I want to drink." And I left that third meeting, and I was downtown Brattleboro. I looked at all the bars and the neon lights and the pretty and the glamour, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And then I was like, well, I couldn't even drink if I wanted to, really. I mean, I'm in downtown Brattleboro. I just got an AA meeting. Someone from AA will see me. And then suddenly, across the mountain, there's a bar in Northampton, Massachusetts. They're open until 2:30 in the morning. I drank there before, so I can drink there, and no one from AA will see me. Done. Problem solved. So I had this peculiar mental twist that just flips the truth. My problem being alcoholism, I'm going to drink again and die, or I could get arrested, or who knows what. To my problem being, I can drink in safety as long as no one from AA sees me. Like, I got away with it! Like, right? Is that really my problem? Because I have these mental blank spots. I cannot remember the past, no matter how bad it got. And I can't remember those future consequences that are inevitable. They do not cloud into my mind to deter me. And I was already on my way home, so I just figured I'd change my clothes and go back to this bar, and I couldn't even make it. I had to drink the first thing in front of me, which was a bottle of Listerine. Unfortunately, so there's mental obsession. I suffer from it. Can't get rid of it, right? The other part of my alcoholism is phenomenon of craving, this abnormal reaction. Once I start drinking, I can't stop. I have little control of the amounts I take, right? So I drank a second bottle of Listerine, and the first one wasn't good. And I stopped at the package store, I picked up 2 extra strong tall balls, I drank those, I went to the bar, I drank at the bar, I yelled at the bartender for not serving me fast enough, I closed that bar, and then went home back to my parents' house, because I had no place else to go, and I drank everything in sight that I could find that they hadn't hidden on the young alcoholic. And I woke up the next morning wondering, how it all happened. I called my sponsor. I went to 3 meetings in one day, I raised my hand. What's wrong with me? I have a lot more examples like that, but I'll just stop there. I mean, there was plenty. Lying to the dentist, anything. And what was wrong with me is to be doomed to an alcoholic death or live a life based on spiritual principles are not always easy alternatives to face. And how true it is for this alcoholic. They wrote a chapter just for me. It's called We Agnostics. I used to be the guy who was violently anti-religious, and I do not use the term lightly. And I balked at every opportunity for spirituality, connection with God. People tell me, these old-timers, because my first home group, everyone was old-timers, like, hey, kid, you're hitting your knees. And I'd be like, no. And, I used to brag that my tattoo artist was a Satanist just to make you uncomfortable. Hope so. And I used to fornicate in church basements to get back at them, and on and on and on and on. I'll just, I could go on. But bottom line is, I'm not having it. The first time I came to an AA meeting, I saw the 2 window shades that says, what does God have to do with my drinking? And so it was pretty tough to stay sober in a spiritual 12-step program if I'm violently anti-religious and refuse to work the 12 steps because it says God there. I mean, I wanted to take an inventory. I even tried. And so what happened to me was the last time I had the insane idea that I hadn't had any heroin in a long time, and if I got some heroin, I'd really have a lot of fun and then just get it out of my system and I won't drink anymore. And I realized I couldn't get heroin for 3 days, so I might as well just start drinking now, and I did that. And then 3 days later, I got my heroin, and that lasted for about a week and a half, and then I drank for another week and a half. And I came to my parents' bathroom, which was locked, and I've been puking blood and stomach bowels coming out of my nose and seeping out of my tear ducts. And the only disturbing part about that for me was that it happened before, and I knew it was going to happen again. And I didn't know what to do. So I called my grand sponsor, Howard, who's wicked old and retired, and he could meet me at the 5:30 meeting early, and I did that, and I somehow got over there. And he took me into the little children's playroom because he was embarrassed for me, because I was dirty, I hadn't showered in I don't know how long, I was wearing a cut-off t-shirt and crying, and it was February. And I sit at a little Fisher-Price plastic table 18 inches off the ground, and I point-blank told him, I can't stop. I can't stop. And he asked me to do one thing that I was not willing to do. He said, pray with me. I said, okay. So I took his hands, and I don't think he said anything, and I don't know if I thought or if I spoke. What I said was, please help me. Please. Please help me. I can't do this anymore. And I walked out of the room a free man. The obsession, desire, compulsion to drink, or use any other mind-altering substance from that moment to this has never returned. And that was a little over 4 years ago. Quite important was the discovery that spiritual principles would solve all my problems. I have been since brought into a way of life infinitely more satisfying, and I hope more useful than my last. I've been risen from the alcoholic scrap heap to a level of life better than the best I've ever known. And unfortunately, how I got there, I mean, seriously, I felt this huge weight lifted from me. There wasn't like any white light, but the room got colorful. I woke up the next morning knowing something is different. I very much wanted to be one of his guys, and I didn't want to admit it because who wants to be a hypocrite? And I didn't know what to do about it. And I went back to AA, and I'm telling all these people about what happened to me, and they tell me, that's great, kid, just keep coming. And I was like, well, I'm here. Like, what's next? And, I kept trying to, I basically spent a year and a half in AA trying to figure out what's next. And I just kept, just don't drink no matter what. I was like, well, I drink no matter what, so let's do a little more. And, okay. And to make a long story short, after about a year and a half of doing that, trying to figure out what's next, and trying to do the steps on my own, and that was disastrous, so please don't do that. And my sponsor had moved away anyway, so he didn't even have any experience in the book. Eventually, I ran into a guy whose whole deportment shouts he's a man with a real answer. He's now my 10-step buddy. And the lights were on. Somebody was home. And he told me to go to this meeting, which was in Keene, New Hampshire. It's now my home group. It's the Big Book Step Study meetings on Sunday from 5 to 6:30. You're all welcome. And he said, go see this guy. He helped start that meeting. That guy's actually now my sponsor. And I went and I saw this guy 2 Sundays. And he carried a message of depth and weight. He talked about drinking without his own permission and a whole bunch of other stuff that I suffered from. And he told me that he had gotten better. And I identified. And so Sunday night, I said, well, next Sunday I'm going to ask this guy to sponsor me. I couldn't even wait. 8 a.m. Monday morning, I texted my buddy. I said, give me this guy's freaking number right now. And I called him up 8 a.m. And I said, will you help me? He said he'd be honored. I said, awesome. What's next? He always knew. He said, next, I want you to read Dr. Opinion up to page 63 and stop where I tell you to stop. I want you to underline things that are important, significant, that stick out to you. Circle the words you're not familiar with. Look the words up in the margins. And when we're all done, we'll read it together. And I did that. When we're all done, we read it together. And I got on my knees and I held his hands. I offered myself to God as I then understood him. And I got up and I put pen to paper. I wrote a 4-step. It was 2,200 pages long. It took me 11 months. I wrote 9 minutes every day. When it was all done, we sat down and read it to him. It took me 70 hours just to read it to him. And when I went home, I took my hour with God. I did 6 and 7 because I clearly saw all of that. I could not be free of it on my own without his help. So I was very willing, and I asked him to take it. And what I was left over, I had to deal with. And I made a list of people, all persons I had harmed, became willing to make amends to them all, and I started making amends, and I practiced 10, 11, 12 every day to the best of my ability. And I have a spiritual awakening as the result of those 12 steps. All you gotta do is follow directions. It's pretty simple. And I sponsor a lot of guys. I go to great lengths to carry this message. Jails, institutions, detox, rehabs, halfway house, sober houses, meetings, you name it. Those are a few of my favorite things. And I practice these principles in all my affairs. And that is the most difficult thing for me to do. Practice these principles in all my affairs. And while I have your attention, there's several chapters after working with others that talk specifically about practicing these principles in all our affairs. I'm not a wife. I'm not married, so the family afterwards. I don't have any kids. I'm not an employer. I'm employed. All right? And a vision for you is better. But all of those chapters tell me how to practice this principle in addition to the rest of the book. So just saying, I went through it and underlined the whole thing on my own, and I read it with people. Anyway, and those are the most difficult things for me to do. Like, here's how much time? All right, good. I'll tell this one story, and then I'll shut up. So I had a lot of issues, a lot of resentments on my 4th step, and a lot came up. And actually, while I was writing my 4th step, I was very neurotic that I had to write all the time, and which really wasn't, it got me through it. I'm not really complaining. But this one time, my sister was complaining, we never see you, never come over, blah, blah, blah. So I'm visiting with my sister, and her, probably 1 year old. And I'm sitting around, and I don't want to be there, and it smells. Oh, she's got a new baby, and it smells, and she has a dog, and it smells, and I don't want to be here. And, I'm trying to be the good brother, and I tell myself, I'd rather be home writing, I swear to God, I told myself that, and I'm looking around, and we actually start talking about, how mom and dad are here for her child, but they were never around for us, and I'm like, it's so funny, I'm writing my resentments, I'm just airing them out, like, bam, bam, this resentful mom and dad for this, and I was talking, I'm going into detail about this resentment that, mom and dad were never home, and they never read to me as a child, and because they didn't read to me, I wasn't a good reader, or a writer, or speller, and thus I got left back in 2nd grade. If I hadn't been left back in 2nd grade, then my twin brother wouldn't have been left back too, so that's so stupid, and it was all my fault, and mom and dad don't love me, and on and on and on and on. And then I feel this tug of my shirt, and I look down, and it's my sister's little boy, and he's looking at me, and he's doing this. And I looked down, and I was like, I don't really know what's going on, nor do I like it. And my sister said, she wants you to read him a story. So I pick him up, and I put him on my knee, and I read him a story. And then he gets down, and he got another book, and I put him back on my knee, and I read him another story, and another story. And it was during this moment that I clearly saw that being resentful of my parents got me nowhere. It actually was just nothing but a disconnect between them and me and God, and would only lead me back to a drink. But I clearly saw that not only were they good parents, but they did the best that they could. And they had 3 children within 2 years? 3 children within 2 years, and worked a lot to support 3 kids. And I was always loved and never experienced any kind of, real major wrong. I couldn't believe it. And then it hit me that, I would willingly deny this little boy the things that I was denied because I didn't get it, so why should he get it? And I'm resentful at a child, a baby. So I got a little free, and doing the rest of the process. But basically, I saw that I could be the change in the world that I wanted to see, rather than being mad at others. And that's not always easy for me to do, but I work really hard at it. I write a tremendous amount of 10 steps, and I have a rigorous prayer and meditation life today. I open and close my day with prayer and meditation, and throughout the day, because I kind of need it. I'm just a little tightly wound. I'm still quick to anger. I'm not beating myself up. This is not more of a reflection. I just don't do this thing called life very well. But I go out and I do the best I can. And that's why I'm so rigorous with my amends. I've done about 80% of them, I think. Is that by doing those, I start to get a little compassion, forgiveness, and empathy. Like the 4th and 5th step really helped. But by going out, like we fit ourselves to go out anyway. By doing this, I'm able to rejoin the human race. Or I don't know if really rejoin, because I don't really think I've ever felt part of the human race ever, really. I mean, this is a somewhat new experience for me. And I have a lot of good 10-step buddies, and I talk to my sponsor regularly, and it's just, it's good to hear from some guy who's been doing this longer than me, is that, we don't get all better. We just get better. I'm not all better. Talk to my sponsor, talk to my parents, my siblings, my girlfriend, my boss. I'm not all better. Nope. I gotta work real hard at this, but I do. And there we go, 2 minutes left. No one really told me that this was gonna be an easy thing, right? But I thought sobriety would be this dull, boring, miserable existence that I have to just barely get through. And it's not like that. It's actually a lot of fun, but more than, it just being fun, something I have that I've never had was just a sense of purpose and direction. Never had it. Just wandering through life, just kind of stumbling, just wondering what the hell is going on. And I have that today. So I have a life of value and substance. And the really cool thing is the whole deal about doing this work is getting better so I can go out and help others. That's the whole deal. It's not so I can sit back and enjoy my cushy life and enjoy the cash and prizes. Not so much. I mean, if I have those things, good. If I want those things, I'm a human being. That's okay too. But that is not what makes me okay today. What makes me okay is establishing a relationship, trust and rely, with the power greater than myself. I call him God. Then I go that and I take him and go out and help other people. Nobody told me that this was going to be easy. They told me it would be worth it. And please, believe me, it is worth it. If you are considering doing this work, I highly recommend it. I'd be willing to talk to you or give you my phone number. And if you are any part of this work, including being all done and still making amends, wherever you're at, please continue. That's a strong suggestion from me to you. That's all I got. Thank you for helping me.